Okay, folks, so this week we are going to try and build a web page. We're going to take all of the components that we've got so far, all of our HTML and CSS that we've learned, the text, the graphics, the layout, and we're going to put it all together into a nice, simple design. Nothing too fancy, but it'll apply a lot of the things that we've covered, and maybe even a couple of little bits of CSS that we haven't covered at this point. So if we take a look at what we've got here, it's a very simple page. It's a recipe for beer battered fish and chips. Now this is just a mock-up. It's not an actual finished page, but it gives you a sense of what we're going to try and achieve. Now if we go into our Atom editor, you can see I've already got the layout www folder open, and it's got a whole bunch of HTML files, our images, and there's a bunch in there, and then there's some style sheets. Now I've put all of this together so that we can see a whole bunch of things and you don't have to necessarily follow along step by step by step. So I have started with the 01 index-no style. If we take a look at that real quick in Chrome, you can see that there's not a lot of design to it. Now the H1 up here is larger than the rest of the text and it's bolded. The H2s are bolded. We've got our numbered lists, our bulleted lists, and so on. But all of that is the general styling that the browser, in this case Chrome, has put together for us. And if we take a look at our file, you can see that it's all nicely semantically laid out, but there's nothing particularly special or important about any of this. So what we're going to do is to start to lay it out. Now before we get too far into that, we should try and figure out how to lay it out with all of the things that we saw in our layout guide. So we can section or subdivide all of the content here using divs. Now we've seen divs before. We've seen the div with the ID of wrapper, and we've got one of those. I've kind of drawn it out here. We'll also have one called intro, which has the heading and the little table of information at the top. Then we're going to group all of the content into a div called content and subdivide that into a sidebar and a main section. And then down at the bottom we'll also have a footer where things like the link from where this particular recipe came from. Now I've picked a simple recipe, beer battered fish and chips, because it's a simple amount of work that we have here. Now in the next 20-30 minutes I'm going to blast through and create all the CSS necessary for this. Don't think that that's how fast it's going to take you. When it comes to creating this kind of thing, it'll probably take you a few hours, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe even 5, 6, 9, or 10. This is going quickly for me because I spent more time up front putting all of this together. I've already got the code figured out. I'm not trying things out. I'm not testing things. I know what I want and how to lay it out. And I've also got a little bit of experience with it too. So don't take this example and think that when you have to do a full web page for yourself that it's going to be quick. It's not. It's going to take you a little bit more time, so be prepared for that. But this will give you a good overview of how we put everything that we've learned so far together into a finished product. So if we jump back to our code, we can see that we've got all of our semantic content in the body. Now there is one major thing that is missing, and that is a link in the head. Right now there's no style sheet attached, and if we look at this, we've got a style sheet ready to go, style.css. Now there's nothing in there, So I could just write, just so that we know it's working, we'll say that all text will be red. We'll go ahead and save that. And now in our head, under all of our meta tags, we'll add the link. So we have to say that the relation of the link is that it's a style sheet, and give it a little hyperlink reference, which will be in our styles folder. There is a style.css file, and we want to get really fancy. We can say that the media is for screen. And if we go ahead and save that and come back to Chrome, hit refresh, we now have a linked up style sheet that will make everything nice and easy for us to style. So with that, let's move on to putting in the divs.